Chapter 339. Rescued from the Sword of Islam, Part 5. Rehana Khan arrived at the Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport at 11:28 am, local time. When she left India over 3 years ago, the city was called Bombay and its airport was known as Sahara International Airport. In her absence, the Shiv Sena Hindu political party had changed the name of every street and every local train station in the city. Even the city did not escape that radical religious change. Even the 1.5 century-old Bombay University was changed to Mumbai University. The University of Bombay was established in 1857. The only thing that the Hindu party could not achieve yet was changing the name of the country from India to Hindustan. The Shiv Sena party was part of the National Hindu Party known as Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. India in Hindi was called Bharata. I wish God would help them in changing the name of the country to Hindustan or Bharata. 150 million Muslims were living in India and yet they were more loyal to Pakistan than India. They always cheered for the Pakistani cricket team and celebrated and rejoiced openly whenever it defeated Indian cricket team. I wonder how a person could live in a country but support another, one that is considered India's bitterest enemy. This problem is not only confined to the Muslims of India, but we notice it in many European countries, Canada, Australia, and the UK and the USA. Many Muslims born in those countries and those who obtained the citizenship do not integrate into mainstream society and hate their new country. They direct their hatred at a country that gives them a living and social liberties not available in their previous countries and sometimes help plot out terrorist attacks against innocent citizens of their adopted nation. Suffice to say, Rehana left one country with her little girl Ifat Khan, and returned with her baby boy, Irfan Khan. She boarded a plane as one of the poorest slum women and returned to it among one of the richest. Despite it all, she was miserable. The suffering, torture, and abuse she experienced in the so-called Holy Land left permanent painful scars in her heart, mind, and body that no amount of money could erase or soothe. She felt despair for what the wicked old man had done and was still doing to her small daughter. She hated with passion and cursed the day she met him at the gate of India. She regretted that she believed him and took her daughter with her and travelled to his accursed country. Before she left Saudi Arabia, Rehana was invited by the CIA team to emigrate to the US, and start a new life among civilized and loving people. She thanked them and decided to return to India for the sake of her mother and sons. She left her poor family with money that she knew would not last more than a year. More than 3 years passed since she took her only daughter and travelled to the rich land of the Arabs. She did not know how her old mother could have fed her children on the money that she had given her. Rehana was so scared to go back to the slum of her family. She was afraid that she might find her mother had died and her sons become beggars or starved to death. She knew that she had not kept her promise to them. She told her mother that she would send to her money as soon as she started working. Her mother thanked her Allah 1,000 times when she came to know that her daughter was travelling to the rich Arabs country where there was the shrine of the Prophet Muhammad and the house of Allah. Rehana promised her mother that she would return after 2 years with so much money and take her to visit the Holy Lands and fulfill the 5th pillar of Islam, the Hajj. Before she left, the loving daughter disclosed to her dear mother her secret treasure and told her to use the money inside her underground bank for buying food for the family. Rehana Khan took a taxi from the international airport to Dharavi slums area. Her heart was beating faster and louder every second passed by. She felt inside the taxi as if her heart might jump out of her mouth any moment. She began to sweat and shake when the taxi reached Dharavi. She did not recognize home. Instead of dirty and foul-smelling slums, a 15-story building greeted her. She was confused and perplexed. At first, she thought that the long period she spent in the Jeddah's jail had somehow twisted her memory. Approaching the nearest shop, she asked about her slum in Dharavi. The shopkeeper told her that where she was standing was part of Dharavi slums, but a builder bought the place she was inquiring about. The builder constructed a huge story building on its place. When she asked him what happened to those poor people who used to live over there, he told her that the builder gave some of them apartments on the first floor and some he gave few thousands of rupees. Those who rejected his offer and refused to leave he used some gandas and kicked them away. The information gave Rehana some ray of hope. She wished that her mother got some money from the builder and used it to take care of her family. Therefore, she left the shop and went to that tall building and began to inquire about her family. She found some few people who used to live near her slum. From them she got conflicting information about her family. One woman told her that her mother died in the slum and the government of Bombay buried her body. Another woman confirmed the death of her mother, but said her children ran away from the slum and became beggars. One man also confirmed the death of the mother and described how she died. He said that her mother became so poor until her body was emaciated. When her mother became destitute, her grandchildren forsook her and ran away and disappeared. They had never returned again. She died shortly thereafter from starvation. Her body was found dead after 3 days when it decomposed and began to smell. No Muslim man or woman in the slum area was willing to take the decomposing body of her mother and bury it. Therefore, it was taken away by the government and burned to ashes. Rehana listened to the horrifying story of the death of her mother with tears falling from her eyes like hot acid. She prostrated on the ground and began to cry. She regretted that she left her mother and let her die in that horrific way. She hated herself and hated the day she was born. After overcoming her grief, she decided to search for her sons in every nook and corner of the cosmopolitan city. She wanted to find them and pick them up from the streets and hug them and give them the love that she denied them for 3 years. She carried her little baby boy and went and booked a room in a cheap motel. She told the front desk that she came from Pakistan to visit some of her relatives in Bombay. She said further that she could not stay in their chawl because it was small and her relatives were having so many children. She decided not to tell anyone about what had happened to her in Saudi Arabia. She disguised herself and hid her true identity. She put on burqa and hid even her face. She was scared that if the Gandas came to know she was the one who received 4 crores and 50 lakhs rupees from the government of Saudi Arabia, they might kidnap her and blackmail her until they got all her money. She wanted to find her children. She had changed her mind about America. The CIA team had promised to assist her anytime she would like to move to the USA. She accepted their offer, but told them she would like to return to her country first and then she would contact them as soon as she found her family. Rehana Khan spent 3 months in that cheap motel. She searched every local train station and every street in Bombay without finding her children. She went to Churchgate and Kolaba areas where there were thousands of beggars, but could not find her children among them. She went to the crowded train terminals such as VT Station and Bombay Central Station many times, but could not find her children. It was as if the earth had opened up and swallowed them. It was when she lost all hope that Rehana remembered her lover. She hoped that she could find Jamal Khan and marry him and take him with her to the USA. She stopped searching for her children and began to search for her lover. This time, her search did not take long. She learned from the police authority that Jamal Khan was serving a long sentence at Thana prison for robbing, raping, impregnating, and causing the death of a girl who used to work with him in a travel agency. Rehana refused to believe that Jamal Khan could do such terrible crimes. She remembered that she sat with him many times at the beach and tempted him in every possible way. If he was that kind of a man, he would have taken her to a motel and slept with her. Instead, Jamal did nothing to her except hug and kiss her. When she came to know where her lover was imprisoned, Rehana went to Thana jail and visited him. Jamal Khan could not believe his eyes when he saw his beloved girlfriend had come after many years to visit him. Rehana scared to tell him about what had happened to her at Saudi Arabia. She expected that her conversation with him might be recorded by the jail authorities. She just told him that she went to Saudi Arabia and worked as a maidservant for 3 years. Jamal remembered that he was the one who began processing her papers. He thanked his Allah for giving his beloved his grace and leading her to go to Saudi Arabia to a good job. Rayhana did not bring her little baby with her. She did not want Jamal to think that she left him and married another man. She hired a babysitter and kept her baby with her. Jamal narrated his story to his beloved in tears. Rayhana wept bitterly when she learned that her lover was falsely accused and sentenced to 15 years. She knew firsthand how any person would feel when falsely accused and condemned for a crime that he had not committed. She recollected those days when she was dragged like an animal from her Saudi sponsor's house and thrown behind bars. She cried and begged for her freedom, but no one gave heed to her tears. She understood that her lover had gone through the same pain and suffering. She wished that she could find honest and sincere and caring people like those 7 Americans who did not leave a stone unturned in order to free her from the dungeon of the wicked Arabs who tortured and sentenced her to be stoned to death for no crime she had done. She knew that her country was full of corrupted and evil lawmen. Working within the system, Rayhana decided to find a lawyer to reopen the case of her boyfriend and push for a retrial. She told her lover that she was going to appoint a good lawyer and request for him to apply for a retrial. Jamal told his girlfriend not to waste her money on a retrial that might not succeed. He too knew the corrupted judicial system of his country intimately. Rayhana paid her lover no heed and affirmed that she would not allow him to spend another 12 years in jail for crimes that he had not committed. That decision taken, Rayhana decided to move from the motel to a rented apartment. She knew that the retrial of her lover might take many months. She went to Bandera and rented an apartment in a beautiful colony. The colony was located in a rich area called Bandstand. It had many security guards. The building had an elevator. Her apartment was in the 15th floor. Rayhana hired a babysitter and 3 maidservants to work for her. She employed a babysitter, a washerwoman, a cleaner, and a cook. She remembered how she worked as a slave in rich people's houses before she went to the rich land of the Arabs. In those days, she used to work from 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. She decided not to enslave the poor girls she employed. She paid them very well. She did not force them to work for her more than 8 hours in the day. She invited them to eat in her apartment while they were working for her. She allowed them to use her washroom. She remembered how the rich people she worked for did not allow her to use their washrooms while she was working in their houses. She bought beautiful uniforms for her maidservants and gave them some of her spare clothes. It should come as no surprise that her maidservants loved her so much. They told her that no Indian woman would treat her maidservants like the way she was treating them. Rayhana did not tell her workers that she was a maidservant before. She told them that she came from Pakistan to visit her Indian boyfriend who was in jail. Rayhana retained a lawyer and discussed the case of her imprisoned lover with him. She told him that she was certain that her boyfriend was innocent. She asked him to apply for retrial. The lawyer accepted the case and promised to do his level best to get the case tried again. A week had passed when the lawyer phoned her and told her the court agreed for the retrial. He ended the conversation by asking her to come to his office because he wanted to discuss with her some important matters that he would rather not discuss over the phone. When they met up, the lawyer explained that the evidence against her lover was overwhelming and no advocate in Bombay would be able to disprove them. Nevertheless, if she would agree to pay a few lakhs to him and to the judge, the charges against her lover would be dropped. Rayhana agreed to pay the money, but with a condition. She said that she would pay only 10% of the bribe before the retrial and the remaining amount she would pay after her lover was released. The lawyer told her that he had to talk to the judge before he would accept her condition. After few weeks, the lawyer called her again on the phone and asked her to come to his office for discussing an important matter. When she reached his office, he said to her the judge wanted her to pay 25% of the amount before the retrial and 75% after her boyfriend was freed. Rayhana accepted the counter-offer. According to the new deal, she had to pay 1 lakh rupees to the judge and 1 lakh rupees to the lawyer before the retrial and 3 lakhs for each one after the imprisoned lover was set free. So, the total amount of the bribe was 8 lakhs. It would be divided equally between the lawyer and the judge. Rehana paid the 2 lakhs and waited for 6 months before her lover reappeared again before His Majesty at the Churchgate High Court. The lawyer was able somehow to refute all the evidences against Jamal Khan. First of all, the lawyer brought a young boy in the court and made him to swear under oath that he was the former boyfriend of the deceased Bulbula Sheikh. The boy had brought some letters and claimed that he received them from his late girlfriend before she died. In one of the letters, Bulbula informed her boyfriend that she was impregnated by him and asked him to marry her. The boy admitted that he had sex with his ex-girlfriend Bulbula Sheikh many times before she passed away. In another letter, Bulbula threatened that she was going to kill herself if he would not marry her before her parents and neighbors would find out about her pregnancy. The boy was excellent actor and cried before His Majesty and the audience while he was reading the last letter that his beloved had sent to him before she committed suicide. He said that due to his poverty and lack of work his parents did not allow him to marry his pregnant girlfriend. In keeping with his act, the boy wept and wept until he made everyone in the court to weep with him. None more than the judge and the lawyer who knew the truth shed crocodile tears. At the end of the sad love story, the boy admitted to the court that he was the one who impregnated Bulbula Sheikh and led her to commit suicide. In fact, the boy received 5,000 rupees before he appeared in court and was promised to get 10,000 rupees after the retrial was over. Of course, Rehana was made to pay the advance to the boy and promised to pay the rest of the money after the retrial and her lover was set free. After destroying the rape charge, the lawyer began to dismantle the robbery charge. He produced enough evidence, which indicated that Bulbula Sheikh came from very poor family. She used to live in a chawl. She worked in the MOHAMED Tours and Travels agency for a few months before taking off her life. Then, he argued that it would be impossible for a poor girl like the late Bulbula in short time to make so much money and buy jewelry for 2 lakhs or 200,000 rupees unless she herself had robbed them from someone. Consequently, the clever advocate contended that if Jamal Khan had robbed and raped Bulbula Sheikh, why she didn't inform the police immediately after she got robbed and raped? Why did she wait until she got impregnated? Why did she kill herself for a crime that she had not committed? It was her employer who made the complaint and not her. After dismantling the robbery charge, the lawyer began to deal with the charge of theft. According to the complaint of the employer, after raping and robbing Bulbula, Jamal had stolen 3 lakhs or 300,000 rupees from the travel agency. The lawyer argued that the conviction was not backed by any substantial evidence. There were no fingerprints taken by the police or any pictures of the broken safe supplied by the employer. The employer did not even inform the police at the time he supposed to have discovered the robbery. Jamal Khan was arrested after a long time from the time the alleged robbery and rape took place. By the way, the court could not bring in the employer, Mohammed Khan, because by that time, he lost his mind and he was in chains in a cell at a mental asylum. After the tragedy of that Black Sunday, the wicked boss remained in the hospital for a few days, lost his mind, became mad, and began to attack anyone came near him until they chained him to his bed. Shortly, he was declared as dangerous madman and transferred to mental hospital. Anyway, when Jamal Khan was tried and convicted over 3 years ago, he had no defense lawyer. His wicked employer used a very cunning lawyer and nailed him with all those serious charges. At the end of the retrial, the judge dropped all the charges against Jamal Khan and ordered that he should be released with honor. Instead of rejoicing, Rehana Khan fell on her knees and began to weep. It was her lover who came and carried her from the floor and hugged her until the tears of her eyes stopped falling.